Hi, if you're new to my channel, my videos are aimed at providing tips for growing great bonsai, as well as progress updates and the various bits and bobs of work that I do on my trees throughout the year. So feel free to subscribe because I have a ton of great videos in the pipeline. Have you recently got your first bonsai and you're wondering how can you get the best out of your tree? I've got 3 tips that I use to maximize the success when I buy a new tree. Most people's first tree tends to be either from a garden centre or an online bonsai retailer. So for this video, that's what I'm going to focus on. Make sure you watch right to the end because I'm going to give a 4th tip, which is an alternative way to get started in bonsai. Okay, here's tip 1. Make sure you check in with your bonsai every single day. You need to check to see whether the tree needs water. It's also important to look at the tree, look at the foliage, check to see, are there more leaves turning yellow than usual? Are there bugs on the leaves? Most of all, just enjoy the tree on a day-to-day basis. You'll get to know the tree, you'll get to see how it grows. You'll just enjoy observing the tree, keeping in touch with the tree. And actually, I think it's quite a mindful thing to do. It's almost meditative. Tip number 2, make sure you keep the tree in a suitable location. A lot of places keep their Chinese elms in a greenhouse or even indoors in less than ideal conditions for a tree. So if it's the middle of winter and your tree's been stored indoors, your tree's not going to be used to the cold. You don't want to just kick that tree out the door, defend for itself, and it's going to be exposed to cold winds, excessive rain. It's going to be freezing one day and thawing the next day. The tree's just not going to be prepared for that. So if it's the middle of winter and you've just got your tree, you're not sure whether it should go outside or not, it's best probably to err on keeping it indoors. The next question from that is, where's the best place to keep it indoors? Well, the best place is somewhere that gets plenty of sunlight. A conservatory, like what I'm in now, is one place, or you can keep it on a window ledge, in a room that gets lots of light. The flip side is that you don't want it to be too warm. You don't want to put the tree in front of a radiator or near a radiator. It's best if you don't keep it in the hottest room in the house or in front of the fire. A nice, cool, light, airy room is best. Okay, here comes tip number 3. Usually bonsai trees that we get from a garden centre or grown specifically as cheap bonsai and sold by online retailers are shipped in pots and in soil that aren't ideal for healthy roots. So I think it's a really good idea to take the tree out of the pot that it comes in, put it into a larger pot, not too big, but just a bit bigger than the one it's in. Put it into a larger pot with some fresh new soil around it and grow it in that pot for 1, maybe 2 years, maybe even longer if that's what you choose to do. Giving the roots a lot more room to spread out and grow is going to really invigorate the tree. Within a growing season, the tree is going to be bursting with health. It's going to be much more healthy than the tree that you start with. The most important part of bonsai is to focus on maintaining a healthy, strong, vigorous tree. You can't train a dead tree as a bonsai. It's all about health, and giving those roots room to grow is how you achieve health in a tree. At the start, I mentioned an alternative way to get into bonsai. Instead of buying a bonsai tree, many of which tend to be in really poor health and end up dying and putting the owner off bonsai forever, a much more rewarding and, in my opinion, successful way to get started with bonsai is to hit up the local garden centre or nursery and buy a tree or a shrub that was intended for the garden, not intended for bonsai, but to actually grow and train that into a bonsai tree. There are at least 3 species that I would personally recommend you look at if you would like to try your hand at growing and training a bonsai from garden centre material. The first species is Cotoneaster. These are charming little plants. They usually have small leaves. They usually flower profusely, beautiful. They usually develop colourful fruits, and the best thing is they're really easy to grow. The second species is shrubby honeysuckle, or Lonicera species. The shrubby honeysuckles, Lonicera nitida, Lonicera pileata, are great bonsai subjects. They grow really well. You can take cuttings off them to propagate and increase the number of trees you have in your collection. They're really forgiving. If you make an error, it doesn't matter. They're just going to grow more to replace whatever you cut off. If you go a bit mad trimming the roots, it doesn't matter. The roots are just going to regenerate. But even better than that, even though they're so forgiving, they also have tiny leaves. They have beautiful smelling flowers, which bees, etc. love. And if you leave the flowers on until the autumn, you get these gorgeous translucent purple berries on them that look absolutely beautiful. And then the third species that I'm going to recommend is the Fuji cherry. Kojo no Mai, I think it's pronounced, is the particular variety. Prunus incisor, Kojo no Mai. These trees also flower, which bees love. They're not the most popular species for bonsai, but they are really, really forgiving. They don't mind root work, they'll take pruning really well and they'll bounce back. And they have this really interesting zigzaggy twig structure. Really easy to grow as bonsai, highly recommended. Coming up in future videos, I'm going to bring out some step-by-step guides for growing and training those three species, training them into bonsai so that you can follow along each time I bring out a new video. If you're interested in getting notifications for when those videos come out, go ahead, hit subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.